All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. After overseeing one of the greatest stretches in the history of the Toronto Raptors, head coach Nick Nurse was fired today. In 5 years as the head coach of the Raptors, Nurse's record was 227 and 163, which of course was highlighted by helping the franchise win its only NBA championship back in 2019. But we never knew what the Raptors could have truly been, as they never really got the opportunity to run it back. Kawhi Leonard left in the summer of 2019 as a free agent to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. And that really, hindered Toronto's chances. They would go 53 and 19 during the following NBA season. But of course, the rails were thrown off during COVID. After that, the Raptors during the 2020-2021 NBA season, they spent the bulk of it playing out of Tampa, Florida. So, they were kind of lost in the shuffle. They got back home last year. Of course, the fans in Toronto really got to embrace this team. They won 48 games and they gave the Sixers everything that they could handle in the first round. But things just never came together this year. And of course, President Masai Ujiri decided to go in another direction. It's one of those where, to me, you could kind of see the writing on the wall. Toronto got to the play-in tournament, and I really feel that they felt that they could have done some damage as far as getting out of the play-in tournament and getting to the postseason. And it looked like they were going to be headed to the playoffs until they blew that 19-point lead to Chicago in the play-in tournament game, in the 9-10 game, and of course it ended their season. So it's one of those for me, and it's going to be very like there's a several key questions for the Raptors heading into the summer. And of course, some of those questions are going to be answered sooner rather than later. There are rumors, and they're only rumors so as far as Ime Udoka being the favorite to be the next head coach in Toronto. Will that be the case? We got to wait and see. Of course, some big questions for this roster. And I say that because you got some players that have player options for this season, along with being full out free agents. Jakob Poto is going to be a free agent. Of course, they picked him up mid-season. He was a big contributor, a solid contributor rather, for Toronto. But then Fred Van Fleet and Gary Trent Jr. both have player options, and I do expect each player to opt out this summer. And you look at it, you're talking about your second and third leading scorers this past season for the Raptors. Do you want to bring them back? I would think that Toronto would do that. Of course, Pascal Siakam has one more year left on his contract, and he's slated to make just under 38 million for next season. So, what are the Raptors going to be doing with him long term? We don't know. So, there's a lot of questions right there for Toronto. And for me, the biggest thing with the Raptors is, does the front office, led by Masai Ujiri, feel that they could win with this group and they could take that next step? Or is it time to take a step back? We got to wait and see. I mean, this past season, Toronto was tied for 27th in the NBA in opponents' field goal percentage. That's not going to get it done. They were also 24th in points scored and 26th in field goal percentage. So it's one of those where all of these components are things that have to be improved on. And, of course, what's going to happen with the Raptors? I mean, it was probably time, maybe, to get a new voice in the room if you're Toronto. I mean, Nick Nurse had been there for 5 years. He was an assistant coach under Dwayne Casey prior to taking over as the head coach in Toronto. And of course, he took over when the Raptors moved on from Dwayne Casey. But, he was that guy to help this team get over the hump and win that championship. And of course, it helped that, they went out there and made that trade to get a Kawhi Leonard to come north of the border. And of course, everything came together. Kawhi was a big part of that team. Guys like Kyle Lowry were big parts of that team as well. And it just came together at the right time for the Raptors. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do heading into the summer. You know, you look at it, they got about 100 million committed to salaries next season. What are they going to do? Of course, the big questions, Trent and Fred Van Fleet, we got to wait and see. But nonetheless, I'm going to put this under the category of surprise, but not surprised that Toronto moved on from Nick Nurse. It's the nature of the beast. Uh, it's a results driven job as far as being a head coach in professional sports. And Masai Ujiri just basically felt it was time for a change. So let's see what the Raptors can do. Like I said, are they going to take a step back or take a step forward and try to push with those upper echelon teams in the Eastern Conference? We got to wait and see. But the bottom line is this: let's just sit back and see what the Raptors have in store heading into the summer. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.